The majestic elephant. Like humans, elephants are capable of forming very special bonds with their family and friends. A herd of elephants is made up of family groups. Anywhere from 8 to 100 or more elephants, all related to one another, make up a herd. When a calf is born, the entire herd takes responsibility for raising and protecting the new family member. Depending on the number within the herd or environmental conditions, an elephant family may split. As a result, within a large area, there will be several interrelated families. However, these families remain united to a certain extent and can be found meeting at watering holes and favorite feeding spots. During these reunions of family groups, the elephants display joy and they celebrate seeing one another. There have been astounding reports of lifelong bonds between elephants that transcend both time and distance. Elephants place great value in family, perhaps more than any other animal. They are naturally sociable, outgoing, and they place importance in interaction with fellow family and herd members. Such ties are rare, and the empathic and insightful nature of these magnificent animals reminds me of my vast extended family. Evolution. The history of the Johnson-Totten Foster family reunion. Each year, on the fourth Sunday of July, once church is over, my family holds a reunion. It is an opportunity to meet new members and to see others that we haven't seen in years. In 2001, when my branch of the tree hosted the reunion, we had 438 in attendance, a reunion record. The story of how this family tradition came to be is fascinating. Well, at least to me, and I would like to share it with you. Shortly following the turn of the 20th century, my great-great-uncle Daniel Johnson was traveling through Reidsville, located in Rockingham County, North Carolina. There, by chance, he ran into an old acquaintance. As Daniel was about to leave, the acquaintance asked, "Daniel, how is your sister?" Uncle Daniel replied, "Minnie Belle is fine." The acquaintance replied, "No, I'm not speaking of Minnie Belle. You have another sister, and her name is Lemma. My last recollection of her was when she was about 15 years old and had to throw her hair out of the chair to sit down. She is somewhere in Caswell County." Uncle Daniel was shocked. He didn't know what to say. He quickly thanked the acquaintance and set out for home in Sedalia, located in Guilford County, North Carolina. When he arrived home, Uncle Daniel excitedly told his wife, Aunt Chauncey, that he had wonderful news. They sat down together, and Uncle Daniel began to tell Aunt Chauncey that while on his trip through Reidsville, he met an old acquaintance who told him of a sister he never knew. So sometime in 1910, Uncle Daniel began his tireless search for his long-lost sister. Every Sunday after church, weather permitting, Uncle Daniel and Aunt Chauncey traveled to Caswell County searching for his sister. One day, Aunt Chauncey said, "Daniel, don't you think we should give up? I don't think we're going to find your sister. We've been searching for 23 years, and we haven't found a trace of her." Uncle Daniel paused, and then he replied, "Chauncey, 23 years is a long time to hang on to hope of finding her." The next Sunday, Uncle Daniel went out to feed the horses. It was a beautiful, sunny day. And as with all great stories, he went back into the house and said, "Johnsy, it's such a beautiful day. Why don't we go look for Sis one more time? And after this trip, if we don't find her, I will give up." Instead of going to church that day, Uncle Daniel and Aunt Johnsy left Sedalia and headed towards Reidsville. He decided to take Highway 158 east into Caswell County. He stopped along the way, inquiring about Lemma Johnson. Then about 5 miles west of Yanceyville, Uncle Daniel saw people going into a service at Blackwell Baptist Church. Uncle Daniel said to Aunt Johnsy, "We can go in for this church service and see if anyone knows her." They pulled into the church parking lot. And just like a fairy tale, unbeknownst to Uncle Daniel, my great-great-grandfather, Tom Totten, was parking his car at the very same time. Uncle Daniel went over to introduce himself to Grandpa Tom. He explained that he and Aunt Johnsy had traveled from Sedalia and would like to go in and hear the church service. Grandpa Tom replied, "We are glad to have you worship with us." As they were walking inside, Uncle Daniel stated, "I'm also here for another reason. I am looking for my sister, Lemma Johnson." Grandpa Tom stopped, paused for a minute, and then said, "That happens to be my wife." Such a wonderful coincidence. Uncle Daniel and Aunt Johnsy went inside and sat through the service. Once church was over, Uncle Daniel stood up to address the congregation. He told everyone how much he enjoyed the service, and the church as well. Then he announced his other reason for being there that day. "I have been looking for my sister for over 20 years, and today I found her. Will Lemma Johnson please stand up so I may see you?" "Will Lemma Johnson please stand up so I may see you?" My great-great-grandmother did not move. Sitting next to Grandma Lemma, Cousin Bee Slade leaned over to say, "Lemma, he's talking to you." Grandma Lemma replied, "I don't know that man." Uncle Daniel announced for the third time, "Lemma Johnson, please stand up so I may see you." Finally, in shock, Grandma Lemma slowly stood and turned around to look at Uncle Daniel. The church service was dismissed, and Grandma Lemma continued to stare at the stranger. A range of emotions showed on her face as the memories overwhelmed her, and she finally remembered. She ran to Uncle Daniel, and as she threw her arms around him, she screamed, "Daniel, Daniel, I had forgotten about you." Uncle Daniel and Grandma Lemma were separated when he was still a toddler in diapers. Soon Grandma Lemma traveled to Sedalia and met her sister, Aunt Minnybelle, for the very first time. This inspired Uncle Daniel to make plans for a family reunion. The first reunion was held in 1933 in Sedalia. As time passed, Grandma Lemma met another brother and his wife, Uncle Dewey and Aunt Dora. They lived in Winston-Salem, but later moved to Greensboro. Uncle Dewey made plans to travel to Baltimore, Maryland to find another brother, Uncle Pete. Sadly, Uncle Dewey passed away before he could see his wish to fruition. And here we are, some 103 years later, continuing Uncle Daniel's dream. Each year, the descendants and extended families of James M. and Lily Battle Foster, as well as those of Tom and Lemma Johnson Totten, reunite. Our family mantra is to never give up. Uncle Daniel will always be cherished and remembered for the legacy that he left behind. Family first, and to know the warm embrace of family is priceless.